up, everybody? Welcome back to the Price to Sell podcast. I think I'm going to start saying welcome home. It's pretty fitting. It's real estate. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
But welcome back. On today's episode, we have a really, really fun topic for you guys. We're going to go straight real estate investing, all the methods. With me today, I have a man who scaled to 16 properties in 3 years, which is incredibly impressive. We're going to talk on things Airbnb. We're going to talk on the BRRRR Method. We're going to talk on partnerships and JVing. But I have Riley Oickle in the building with me today. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, Matt, great to be here. Yeah, looking forward to it.
It's awesome, man. It's very impressive, man. I'd love to get into, let's get right into a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. I would say my background would be I grew up in Nova Scotia. It was like a super small rural community. And then I went to university, actually. So I went to University of Western, ran track and field there for a few years.
Did you go to class?
Didn't go to class, really.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those situations. When you're 18 and you're making the decision, it's like priorities are, for me, it was sports.
Yeah.
I was going there for track. So track team was really good.
Cool.
Girls were good looking.
Of course.
And the university experience was top notch. So
For
I was
sure.
like, I'm going there.
Yeah.
And then my degree came next, right?
Yeah.
But I recognized I was going to be highly in debt. And so I started knocking on houses to do just essentially do home maintenance work, like window cleaning, whatever I could do to help with the community.
Did you come up with this idea on your own, or?
There was actually a company
Okay.
that was like a consulting company to help
Yeah.
business owners, and they came in with systems and stuff. They're called Student Works. And so I did that for a couple of years, and then actually became a business coach and helped some other university students to do the same thing.
Cool.
And then shortly after, got into real estate, bought some multifamilies, did the BRRRR, did joint venturing with other people's money, and then recently I've actually started doing some more short-term rentals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
27.
Oh, solid, man.
Yeah.
So you started investing in real estate at what age?
Would have been like 21, 22.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Holy, what was I doing at 21? I was working at Urban Planet. Like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was making $80 every 2 weeks. That was my 21.
Yeah. I was Sobeys and then Michelin.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But at least you're buying properties.
Yeah. Well,
I bought my first at 27.
no way.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just aged myself a bit. But that's cool, man. Let's unpack that, because everyone hears the strategy of, buy with no money down, or
Yeah.
leveraging other people's money and things like that. And it's cool. Sounds cool. But how did you actually execute that on your first one?
The first one, it was just like a connection that I had, someone that had money in a mortgage. And there was actually a property that was for sale in Sarnia. And so we co-owned that property. And I came in as the active partner, put time and my actual personal labor into the renovation.
Okay.
Which was just my one and only time that I ever did that. I'm not handy, so it was like, I really had to outsource a lot of it.
For sure.
But I did my best. So I was in there. We were like scrubbing the walls, like nicotine off walls and stuff.
Oh.
We were just really getting into the dirt of it all. So we fixed it up, and then I was also doing the property management and the financial management.
Mm-hmm.
And so that allowed me to have actually like 50% ownership in the property.
Okay.
And 50% cash flow, which was just incredible. Like it was like, man, owning like a $300,000-$400,000 asset, and being able to just put in a bit of time for renos and property management, re-renting units and managing those tenants. It seemed pretty awesome. So once I did it once, I was hooked, and I just rolled it out like a production line and did a bunch of them. And
Yeah, it's cool. It's great, because like people forget the whole sweat equity aspect of like you can partner up and offer something more than money in return for ownership, which is cool.
Yeah, well, I always say time and knowledge. Like if you can put in your time and your knowledge, and you don't have to have like a vast portfolio and vast resume to have knowledge. Like, if you have a mentor or a coach or someone that works with you, that's it. Like you tap into that well of knowledge and you're good to go. And so, like if you have the time and the knowledge and they have the money and the mortgage, then you guys go in at 50-50 usually. That's the typical deal.
Yeah.
And works really well.
And how did you learn about this? Did you have that mentor or coach?
Well, yeah, I actually, Matt McKeever, so he was living in London. And so I'd go over to his place quite often and like learn from him and the group that was there. And so that was like me tapping into all the knowledge and the education. And since I've hired like easily a half a dozen by now. There was a point where I had 3 coaches at once. And so, because it isn't like one coach is like your holy grail.
Oh, that's
I think
huge.
that's where people screw up. It's like
Definitely.
they expect that one person to be it. And it's like, no, like you kind of have to go and get a bunch of information from other people, from a whole slew of people, aggregate that information together, and then make your own decision. So,
Okay, so yeah, I have multiple coaches too.
yeah.
I've always been like that. Okay, so fast forward, now you have 16 properties, 3 years. Very impressive. What have you learned? Like, what have been some of the biggest takeaways through that process, through the scaling? You know, like you just said, the first time you put in a lot of sweat equity, you probably wouldn't do like that stuff again.
Yeah.
It's like, what are some of the things you've learned?
Yeah, just a bunch looking back. Like I had a JV partner agreed to actually move into the property. So they had moved into the main floor and did house hacking. Not a good idea.
Okay.
Just doesn't really work out well.
Why is that?
Well, I guess they started smoking weed on the main floor.
Okay.
And then it was a triplex, so multiple units in there. And it's interesting because I was the co-owner of the business. I'm also the property manager. And the JV partner is actually like living in the property. And the tenants are complaining about like the tenants and also the owner of the property like smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
And so dealing with that was like a tough conversation, just because it was smelling super bad like in there. And just anyway, so that one went pretty south, and like they stopped paying rent, and it just didn't work out well. So we exited that JV agreement. And I think early on, like I just wasn't that selective with some of the JVs that I did. And now if I were to do some, like it's high standards. Like I'm going out for like a dinner with someone, really getting to know them, making sure that
Not
that
McDonald's?
not McDonald's, no.
Okay.
Probably like, I don't know, KFC or something.
Okay, nice. Yeah, a little higher end.
Yeah, higher end, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think that was the biggest mistake. And then also I think just like giving months without any communication. Because like this is a business partnership that you're entering into, essentially. You can't call it a partnership, but it is a partnership essentially. So you're getting into a business with someone, you need to stay in communication. And so setting up monthly meetings is what we do now, and ensure that we're just going back and forth and we're on the same page. Otherwise, if I'd gone 6 months once without talking to a JV partner, and then there's all these little things that start to add up that they're not discussing or bringing up. And then I'd rather deal with issues in ripples now than a big tsunami of bullshit that all comes in at once.
Yeah.
So.
And are you still doing the no money down strategy? Are you still leveraging that, or have you built up enough where you're refinancing? And we can get into the BRRRR in a second, but
Yeah, we've pretty much refied almost all of the properties in the portfolio, so we're good for the next 5 years or so. We pulled out when interest rates were lower.
nice.
And so we're all good for the refi. I'd say like the plan now is just to do larger projects and probably use the GPLP structure to take down more commercial.
Cool.
We're working on like a boutique hotel or a motel,
Nice.
and so probably limiting the joint ventures that we're doing at the under the $1 million level and doing more like $5-10 million projects.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge. So let's and can you break down like some of the areas that you have these properties? So you have 40 doors.
Yeah.
16 properties, 40 doors. So where are these properties?
Yeah. So again, I started in Sarnia. And then from Sarnia went to London, and then London got really saturated and blew up. And so the numbers just didn't make sense. So I started doing St. Thomas and then Chatham. So really covered Southwestern Ontario quite a bit.
Okay.
And yeah, like the cool thing was all the contractors could still like go and service the properties within an hour radius for the most part. And then actually I bought a property in Nova Scotia. So in Halifax, it was a triplex, converted it into an Airbnb. So 3 units. And then we have quite a few cottages up in the Kawartha Lakes.
Cool.
Buckhorn, Marmora, and a bunch of other places up
Are they
there.
waterfront?
No, actually, that's what we stay away from.
Interesting.
We find like the prices for waterfront's just so darn expensive, and you're not able to get it on the back end for your average nightly rate.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll actually find like a opportunity where there's a cool property with lake access, because it's quite a bit more discounted than like lakefront,
For sure.
but you get a similar average nightly rate
Okay.
on Airbnb or something.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Yeah.
How is Nova Scotia for investing?
Man, yeah. I think for short-term rentals, it's tough right now. Halifax and Dartmouth, the HRM, they just license short-term rentals.
Okay.
So it's kind of tough there if you're wanting to do like Airbnb or something. But I find like I was just at Yonge and Dundas in Toronto, and they had a big billboard up. And like Nova Scotia did, they were promoting tourism. And they're just dumping a lot of money right now into tourism. They've expanded the boardwalk, like the harbor front there. And so they're ready for severe growth. And at any point in time when I was home over Easter, 12 skyscrapers I counted.
Oh, wow.
So like they're building, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty awesome to see. So yeah, I would say if you're looking to get into Nova Scotia, I'd focus on the HRM personally. But all the other markets seem to kind of plateau quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you look at the last 10 years, their population growth is very little, but Halifax and Dartmouth are definitely expanding quite a bit.
Oh, hello there, my fellow real estate enthusiasts. Today's episode is brought to you by the one and only BRRRR Law, the law firm that's the best in the biz when it comes to closing deals. These guys are not your grandmother's law firm. They complete same-day status certificates and purchase agreement reviews so you can put in your offers without care in the world. Plus, they're digital, so you can have virtual closings across Ontario. Talk about fancy. And get this, they're available 7 days a week. That's right, no rest for the wicked. They even speak over 8 languages, so there's no excuse for any lost in translation drama. BRRRR Law works hand in hand with real estate agents and mortgage brokers, so you know they're the real deal. They'll make sure your transactions are smooth and work around the schedule to get those closing docs when you need them. So if you're looking for a law firm that's not only exceptional, but also makes closing deals look like a piece of cake, BRRRR Law is your go-to. Check out the description in the episode to learn more. And what does just to break down what you bought, what does a triplex like that cost?
Yeah, we bought it for $420,000,
Okay.
and then the ARV when we refied it was around $700.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was definitely
How much was that reno?
The reno was about $150,000.
Okay.
So it still made quite a bit of
Yeah.
sense. And then we put in an extra bathroom, and took down 2 like low bearing walls with LVL beams, and
Yeah.
like expanded, opened it up, put in granite countertops because Airbnb you got to be a bit more luxurious.
sure.
So we definitely did like higher end renovations, but it made a lot of sense. The market also helped us out quite a bit.
Definitely.
I think the actual expected ARV was around 625. But we got
True.
quite a
So
bit
you
higher.
hit it on
Yeah.
the good timing there.
Yeah.
And then are you guys cash flowing?
Yeah, we're cash flowing with the Airbnb about $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the summertime just kills it, and then
Mhm.
you just have to make sure that you have the cash reserve in the bank,
For sure.
so they keep it going during the off season.
Definitely. That's like my
Yeah.
Toronto one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So if you had to like pick an area, like you're on all these different parts to scale in,
Yeah.
what's attracting? I know you want to go commercial, but what's attracting? Like for people out there who maybe wanted to get started.
Yeah.
What are some like pockets that you would tell them to focus on?
For Airbnb,
Let's
Or
go.
just-
Let's go long term,
long term.
and then we'll go into
Okay.
short term.
Yeah, I would say long term rentals. I've been looking at even Peterborough right now seems to be killing it for like
Mhm.
both short terms and long terms. And yeah, like we actually have an AirDNA report for best places to invest.
Mm-hmm.
That's for Airbnb, and so Peterborough came up as one of the best places to invest actually.
Okay.
Certain areas there in the Kawartha Lakes are doing pretty well too. For long-term rentals, like I really am looking at like the HRM in Halifax, Dartmouth. There's just a huge demand right now for rentals out there, so
Yeah.
you can get top dollar for like a 1-bed, 1-bath.
When you say HRM,
Yeah, the HRM is just like Halifax and Dartmouth. Nova
okay,
Scotia.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's for long term.
That's for long term. Here in Ontario, like Cornwall seems to be doing pretty well.
Okay.
Pembroke, looking at even St. Thomas still.
Nice.
St. Thomas is getting pretty expensive, but definitely like the Cornwall, the Pembroke. Ottawa's taken on a lot of like the immigration. We have about
Yeah.
400,000 to 500,000 coming in. So
Mhm.
the sprawl is like seemingly going to like Pembroke, Cornwall, places like that. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
And for Peterborough being the top, so that has me interested now, especially for short term.
Yeah.
What's like average price point out there? What are you looking at?
average price point for like a single family?
Yeah, I guess like whatever kind of property.
I don't know what a single family is going for.
Okay.
I believe it's around 800,000.
Okay, so still up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's definitely not cheap.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so let's unpack the BRRRR. I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot of people know what it is.
Yeah.
But for those that don't, like how does that strategy work?
Yeah, like the biggest thing is making sure that your money moves for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what mentors just continue to preach to me at the beginning. They said if you don't keep your money moving fluidly,
Mhm.
it's like pumping the brakes on the vehicle. And so for me, it was like, okay, like how do I keep this money moving fluidly and not stagnant like a pond and it just kind of sits there and doesn't really move? And so, yeah, like the BRRRR was the biggest strategy. It's just a simple acronym. So it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. The buy, you essentially should buy like a distressed, something that's undervalued market. And you go and you could buy it off market, on market. Right now, it seems like quite a few of the most distressed like properties, if you want to do a proper BRRRR, would be off market. But obviously working with like a realtor like you have maybe some pocket listings, some other opportunities. So you want to buy it at the right number. And then after you buy it, then you want to renovate it. I always like to say strategic renovations. So value adding, kitchens, bathrooms, things like that. Stay away from ideally like structural or foundational stuff. Like no one's going to really, like the value of the property doesn't really increase if you're doing like a lot of structural or foundational fix-ups. And then after you renovate the property, then you want to make sure that you rent it at fair market value, and then refinance the property. And then the repeat's important too. Like if you do it properly with the tax system, you can save some good money on tax. If you keep it like moving into the next property.
Yeah. Is there a window for that?
I'm not sure if there is.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always done it like pretty quick. Like my BRRRRs have usually been 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, for a 2 to 4 unit.
In terms of repeating, or the actual process from buying the property, renovating, renting it out, and refinancing?
Usually the refi is within 8 months of buying. Yeah.
That's good.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scotiabank actually had a program for a couple of years where you could just stay within your same mortgage. And yeah, if you refi, then you could, you didn't have to wait the 12-month window that a lot of banks have. A lot of banks just won't let you refi within the first 12.
Yeah.
But
Scotia can?
Scotia would, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And do you guys like ironed out or streamlined a process to source out off markets now? Like, are you strictly going for off markets? Like, what's your appetite? Like now that you've done 16?
Yeah, we're doing a few different things. Like I find messaging rentals on Kijiji in certain markets is super helpful to find off market.
Okay.
Just saying, hey, like looks like you're renting a unit. Like, how's it going for you? And usually you can find like a disgruntled or like pissed off landlord and go and actually like ask them if they're looking to sell. Yeah. So we have like a messaging sequence and we have a VA going in and messaging people on Kijiji for that. So that works really well. Another one is what we call the drive-by search. So you just essentially drive the area, you look for your multifamilies or whatever type of property you're looking for, and then you write down the address, go to City Hall, and at City Hall you can actually search up the directory of like the owner's name and where they actually live. They have that on file at the property tax department. So, and then we'll just send it what we call a love letter campaign, where we actually just mail out like letters directly to where they live. That works really well for multifamily. Singles, you don't necessarily have to do that, but like for single families, you can just like mail the direct property usually. Yeah. But for multis, the owner doesn't actually live there, so you have to mail it directly to them. Those are my 2 favorites right now. Those are working really well. We stay away from the door knocking and everything else, but yeah.
And you have like a team? You guys have a team?
Yeah, we have virtual assistants. Yeah.
Okay. And
then usually for driving the area, we'll have like high schoolers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
getting the hours
18
in.
an hour. Yeah.
Getting their hours in.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the love letter consist of?
Yeah, it just essentially just a letter that explicitly says like, dear owner, you know, hope you're doing well this year. We drove by your property and it's all written out by hand.
Okay.
Right. And then we actually photocopy it so it looks like it's written by hand.
Yeah.
But essentially just saying like, hey, like your property, really interested in buying it, would like to get in touch, and you know, contact us here. We also have a $1,000 referral bonus. So if you do have like someone else that you know that's looking to sell their property, just let us know. And then, yeah, we've had a few referrals from the love letter campaign. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So the seller's actually getting that letter. They're being offered that incentive, call to action. So if they don't know, if they're not willing to sell someone else.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I've even received them from other investors too, like for my properties where they show up and I always kind of break them down and like critiquing them, right? I'm like, why are they saying the things that they're saying? But yeah, we have it pretty well done, like a nice template there, and we'll send them out, usually 500 flyers at a time. I know some investors that do thousands, but we keep it small to the exact properties that we believe are the ones that we really want to buy, that are the most distressed, and kind of check all of our boxes. So.
Nice. Yeah. And how's your success rate with that?
It's been very good. Yeah, we've created like a nice communication pipeline with a lot of like sellers or prospective sellers, so that when we've sent them 3 or 4 flyers over the course of a year and a half, it's all about touches, right? Everything in marketing is touches, and so they'll call us and they'll say either stop sending me flyers, which is fine, we will, or it's you know, hey, I've gotten a few of your flyers, I like your consistency, I've thought about it over the last few months, it's been kind of on the back of my mind, you've been planting seeds and watering it kind of in a way, and we're ready to sell now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. and then we'll just go and we'll write up an agreement with them and buy the property. So.
And are you guys offering some sort of mentorship for people who want to learn?
Yeah. Like I've just through, I guess, doing everything and buying properties, like people have reached out and they said, hey, like, how are you doing this? How are you buying off market? How are you doing the BRRRR, joint venturing, stuff like that? So I'm specializing right now in everything to do with the BRRRR and joint venturing. And my niche has been like usually a beginner investor, people that are looking to buy one of their first. Really just working with Canadians right now.
Nice.
And doing what I've done 16 times.
Yes.
Right. And just doing more of it. So we've consulted now on a couple hundred projects.
Oh, wow.
And helped quite a few people. And I really enjoy it. Like that's like my fulfillment right now. I find like my passion is to live vicariously through them.
Yeah.
And I lost a bit of my steam to like jump out of bed in the morning, excited to buy bricks and mortar and drywall and paint. And this was what it was all about. So
yeah, you eventually find that. That's cool. Even at 27 already finding that fulfilling piece.
Yeah. Well, it was like, geez, man, 60, 80 hours a week for like 5 years, just all real estate. And so I kind of got a lot done in 5 years.
Yeah.
And so the learning curve was pretty wild, but because the industry goes so deep in knowledge, like I'd be learning about land development and conversions, and my one mentor taught about subdivision development, and it was just a whole wide range, but figured out what worked for me and just helping people do what I've done. So,
yeah. What are some long-term goals for you?
This boutique hotel is pretty wicked.
Where is
I'm
it?
like really excited. We want to do it again in Halifax.
Okay.
Because especially in the HRM where it just got licensed, I know there's going to be a lot of Airbnb hosts that are just going to be wiped off the map. People that had like 5, 10, 15 properties, like they're just not going to, like the city won't allow them to run them.
Yeah.
You can only run it as your primary residence.
Like here.
Yeah, like Toronto. So the opportunity there is to go in and like the tourism's still going to be pulling in a bunch of people. So where they're going to stay. And so if you can't beat them, you join them, I find. And so we're going to just join the hotel and motel groups. So that's like what's firing me up over the next 5, 10 years is to do a few of those projects.
Cool. Yeah. And then from there, you want to start scaling to like the bigger things, maybe some like, high-rise development. Like
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Okay. That's
it's
cool.
like I always find it interesting when I'm setting goals. Like 5 years out, like 5 years ago, I had no idea I'd be doing this. You know what I mean?
Usually the case. Yeah.
Usually the case.
Yeah.
Like so really excited that we're doing what we're doing right now. And I can look out 5 years, but even 10 years gets foggy for me. Just because things go so fast. But so far, like really excited about what we're doing with the coaching and the properties. And now it's just a matter of taking it to the next level. So we're rebranding our coaching company right now into rentalconsulting.com. And there's a whole bunch of work to do there. And we're going to be doing events across Canada, which is pretty exciting. And just trying to get in front of more people. And yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love the journey.
Yeah.
I want a couple more things before we end off. I want to break down your insights into short-term space, how to do it properly, what people should look for, anything that you can give the audience right now.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing had been Airbnb just blew up. It did so well over COVID, especially in certain markets where people were doing like staycations. And so they wanted to travel domestically. And so because of that, like you could post anything on Airbnb and do well in certain markets. Like you could, especially up in the Kawartha Lakes where we were buying in cottage country, you could post a photo of a sandwich and it would get booked up.
Yeah.
Like you could. So the biggest thing now is because some markets are saturated, you have to be after the 90th percentile. You have to be at least attempting to be in the top 10% because there's disproportionate returns in the top 10%. And so breaking down what that looks like is making sure that the subject line and the body text is just, the copywriting is everything, right? Making sure it's a good hook and you're explaining exactly what they want to know in the description. Super high quality photos. We actually will go and find like Airbnb photographers to go in, like specializing in Airbnb and doing props and like staging and anything that needs to be done. Like props would be like watermelon cut up or butter tarts or glasses of wine out. Like they really have to be envisioning themselves staying there.
Yes.
So that's a huge one, is just like the listing itself. Price optimization is huge. You can't be too underpriced or overpriced. So that's a big one. And yeah, I would say like those are the biggest right now that we're looking at. There's a bunch of other stuff kind of behind the curtain, but I would say market analysis is really important if you want to get into the space. People underestimate that and they hyper focus, I find, on the property analysis, but they don't really look at that city research view. So
What are some tools to get that research
We
done?
always use AirDNA.
Okay.
Yeah, AirDNA is awesome. It's just like has all this data that they've aggregated from VRBO, Airbnb, and they put it into these really like clear spreadsheets. And you can look at, okay, here are all the numbers for all the cities in Canada and what they're doing for average nightly rates and expected annual revenue and occupancy and stuff like that. So you can geek out. Like I'm pretty analytical, so I like to geek out over the numbers.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing as an investor, right? You got to keep those numbers, like really clear. I find when I talk to beginners, like a lot of the time they just say, yeah, like I'm not really doing anything to analyze. Like I bought a property or two. I had a good feeling about it. I drove through the area. It looked nice. I'm familiar with the area. And so they had a good feeling, but we need to, like usually when you're analyzing properties, remove as much emotion and feeling as possible and look at the numbers. And so if there's not metrics or KPIs that you're looking at as standards, like for example, we'll do 25% total ROI as one standard for Airbnb and at least 10% cash on cash ROI. 15% is like more of like the goal for Airbnb. And so those are like 2 of 8 that we'll look at and they're pretty important.
That's cool, man. I mean, you got dialed down to a science.
There's a lot of room for improvement. Like there always is, but it's pretty systemized out.
That's the way to do it. It's a full-fledged business, right?
That's
super cool. And I would love to end it off with, you mentioned to me on the phone earlier, you're diving into some challenges for yourself. You know, you got some things planned to like challenge yourself. Let's chat about that. Cause I think, you know, it works hand in hand, right? You got like these big goals for yourself financially, but then on a personal level, it's important to keep those alive too.
Coming into this year, I found like I was looking back at 2022 kind of stagnating. Like again, like just wasn't really improving in all areas as much as I wanted to. So I was like, I just have to find something that can challenge me, like really put me out of my comfort zone. And I actually signed up for the Spartan race, which is like pretty intense. It's kind of like a Tough Mudder or something, or maybe an Ironman. Ironman, I think, is triathlon actually, so maybe not. But it's a 10 kilometer race, and so it's in May. I'm doing it in like 2 weeks, and there's 25 obstacles, and you run up like a ski slope, and you do a bunch of crazy stuff up the mountain as you're running up. So I found like I was going to the gym and like working out, take my fitness pretty seriously, without like purpose, which just became like meaningless, and it was just like, I don't know. I didn't have that drive to like actually go.
Definitely.
So putting that challenge in front of me and knowing, hey, I already signed up and I'm doing this thing. I've committed to it. My friends are doing it with me. I need to go and I need to train. And so now going to the gym, it like actually has that purpose, right? So like that was the one big thing this year, was like putting certain challenges, like the boutique hotel, for example, in front of me that I knew I had to prepare for. And it's exciting. Right? Otherwise, we just kind of plateau and become complacent. So
that's very true. You're actually getting me going now. Maybe I should. I did 75 hard. During the pandemic.
I made it 20 days. So
okay.
Did you finish?
Yeah, I finished.
Oh,
I finished. I ended off in Calgary actually, because we took a flight to Calgary, and as soon as we landed, I had to get my evening outdoor workout in. My friends thought I was like crazy, and here I am just jogging the streets of Calgary at like 2 a.m. You know, but
it's pretty wild.
It was man, it was so fulfilling, right? Just to add on the whole fulfillment thing. It was great. I felt amazing, looked great. Like just my mind was sharp. So you're getting me thinking maybe I should do something this year. But yeah, super important.
Come to the next Spartan. It's in October.
End of the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe I will.
I'll see you there.
People might hold me accountable for this now. But Riley, I want to thank you for coming, man. You've been awesome. Congrats on all your success. It's really admirable. And I'm sure people who might want to reach out, if you want to plug in some things, you know, where people can find you.
Sure. Yeah, just like Instagram's fine. You can go to my handle is like Riley Oickle Investor, so you can go there. And if you want to contact me, you can just go through the bio there. I have like a link in my bio. You can contact me there, and I'd be happy to help out anyone that's listening and go from there. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone out there, please like, subscribe, share. See you on the next one. Peace.